Good afternoon and welcome to Mrs. Dean 5th period 7th grade biology class. Our first lab lesson will be over safe use of the microscope, and then we'll investigate and uncover the mystery of this wonderful instrument. As our title indicates, we are going to do an interrogation of Mr. Light Microscope. We will get to know about his parts and functions in this science case. Safety is first, always. Please read, learn, and know, because you will be expected to abide by the posted rules. Rules 1 through 5 explain the use of the microscope, and the last section explains what to do once you've completed using your microscope. Introducing our suspect today, Mr. Light Microscope. We will discuss the parts of the microscope. It's labeled here A through K. We will cover them, but we will not necessarily go in order. A is the eyepiece or the ocular piece, which is what you will look through so you can see your specimen as it sits on this stage, supported by the stage clips that hold it in place. Again, this alone is magnified at 10x. We have the nose piece, which holds the high and low power objective lenses and can be rotated to change magnification. You will always want to start with the red objective lens. That is a number 4. So it's 4x, and this is 10x, so your magnification with the red lens would be 40x. What you would use the red lens for is to find your focus of the specimen that you're looking at. And to do that, you will use the coarse adjustment knob, which moves the stage up and down for focusing. Once you see your object under the 40x lens, which again is the red one, you will then no longer touch this coarse adjustment knob. You will then use the fine adjustment knob to move the stage slightly to sharpen your image. At that point, you can then rotate your lens to the next lens amount, which is the yellow one, and it's a 10x. So again, if this is 10x and this is 10x, the total magnification is 100. With the 10x, you will then again use your fine adjustment knob to sharpen up your focus and see your image more clearer. Once you would do that, you will then use your blue knob, which is 40x. So 40x times 10x gives us a 400 magnification. With the red lens, you see a larger viewing area. With the yellow, which is the 10x, you see a smaller viewing area but more details. And with the blue lens, which is the 40x times the eyepiece, which is 10x, which is 400x magnification, you see even more detail. It's like zooming all the way in. We will then review the light source, which projects light upward through the diaphragm. through the specimen and the lenses. We will recognize the base which supports the microscope, and is very important because when you get your microscope out of the cabinet, you'll want to put one hand under the base and you will put one hand on the arm, which is used to support the microscope when carried. The diaphragm regulates the amount of light that is on the specimen that you're looking at through your microscope. So these are the parts of the microscope. Mr. Light Microscope has told us his parts. He has given us their functions. And now we have solved our case of the microscope. Based on Mr. Microscope's full cooperation and expert testimony about his parts and functions, we can now use Mr. Microscope to help us better understand the microscope and the specimens that we will review. You will need to review and re-review the parts of the microscope and their functions. Hint, hint. Once you come to class, you will apply what you learned by completing a fill-in-the-blank form of a microscope. And this will help you evaluate your understanding and comprehension of Mr. Light Microscope's evidence that he presented when we interrogated him. Our science case will allow us to view plant and animal cells using Mr. Light Microscope. If we didn't have his cooperation, it would be challenging or even impossible to see those tiny cells. We thank Mr. Light Microscope for his cooperation. Be prepared to identify the parts and functions of the microscope. We will work in our lab groups and observe an onion, blood, an elodea leaf, and a human bone. We will then observe the same items under a light microscope so we can see their cells. Zoom in, and we are going to find out what you see when you use Mr. Light Microscope. If you have any questions or concerns, please make sure you raise your hand or call out my name, and I will help you as we all explore the parts and functions of the microscope and as we review the specimens under the microscope. Let's get ready to uncover the wonderful mysteries that the microscope holds and the wonderful mysteries that using the microscopes give us as teacher and student. I'm looking forward to exploring with you on tomorrow. Be prepared.